Our lesson today is on today's Gospel on divorce and adultery. I've written and spoken on divorce before, as it is the second greatest cause of sin in our Christian faith today, coming right behind the sin of hatred of races or persons different to us in any way. For any reason for the failure or actual refusal to accept into our congregations or communities any who are sealed with the light of Christ is a sin next to killing them. For you deny their very right to exist, which is akin to killing each one in your heart and your mind. Thus discrimination is the sin of mental genocide of all other races, and those who discriminate can never, will never, reach the kingdom of heaven until they repent each and every murder, recreating each that they have mentally wiped from existence. For divorce, the one causes the other to sin, so one carries the full burden of all the sin of the end of the relationship. If one commits serial infidelity, believing the other should have inhuman faith, inhuman stores of forgiveness, or in reality, that their partner should just continue to be stupid and gullible because these are the acts of a sociopath who isn't going to change, even if the Christ was standing in front of him. That termination and all subsequent acts by the partner are upon the one who cheated and caused the termination upon, until such time as a religious annulment ends the ordeal. But in situations where one is growing and learning and expanding horizons naturally, as all adults should, but the other is reverting to a previous immature state, that growth is not the cause, but the immaturity and fear of the other is. That is, the partner who will refuse counseling, will refuse doing anything to save the marriage as is required by the Bible. That partner will rationalize and make excuses, but will never change, and all sin until, again, a religious annulment is possible, is that one's. Religious annulment declares that the union was never sacramental and is recognized by all Christian churches now. Each one does it in a slightly different manner, and the current method of the Catholic Church is designed to create a path to healing within the church, rather than a termination of one's relationship within the church, with Christ through the church. Other Christian churches follow a much more legalistic path, with no sessions of interviews and counseling included. In the Catholic process, the interview is classified as a therapeutic interview and occurs after one has completed an extensive questionnaire and history of the relationship by the petitioner, and a questionnaire and reply by respondent. The petitioner pays all fees, and the petitioner undergoes 3 interviews, with 2 as direct examinations and 1 therapeutic interview. Respondents only have the 1 latter therapeutic interview. I am Catholic. I underwent an annulment, though I had been, at the time of my marriage, the marriage counselor and the marriage coordinator for the church, for the entire church. My confessor assisted my ex-husband in obtaining the annulment. Thus, my therapeutic interview took 9 hours, as it was the first time I spoke to the church in 3 years. Because when my confessor assisted my ex-husband with that annulment, my confessor was also my boss. I worked for the church for 9 years in 3 different positions. And the fact that the pastor, my boss, my confessor, assisted my ex-husband in proving that my marriage was not sacramental was to me the greatest treachery ever. Everyone in the church chose sides. I lost my family of faith through that process. Though I had been a member there for 15 years, I lost everyone. My husband joined the faith to marry me, and he retained custody of my church, my family of friends, my spiritual family after the annulment, after the divorce. I was uncharged. Thus I studied divorce greatly, spiritually, via the Bible. So I knew what each Christian church did and how they responded. I knew that what my particular parish had done was a great and grave sin. And by participating in the annulment, I obtained some satisfaction. Though I lost the sacrament, I saw that that pastor was struck down. He was forced to retire. And all of the others at that church at that time were also struck down. None of them has ever become a pastor because they assisted in the process. The church did not fail me. That parish failed me. The Lord did not fail me. The religious annulment is the only means by which a Christian can marry again within the faith and not be committing adultery if the previous spouse lives. There are no exceptions, though many search for them. The Lord is very explicit in his words. If a man divorces his wife, he commits adultery, and he forces her to commit adultery.